I'd like to preface this video by saying that I tried to make this only musically related. However, I found it very difficult considering the topic at hand. There are many different people, places, fan bases, and people personality types that I really dislike, and it's not necessarily all in the music realm. For the most part, even though the fan base of a lot of the bands that I've talked crap about tend to irritate me, it's something that I could easily lump in. So because of this, I kind of had to go outside the box a little bit. So, for the first time ever, Cover Killer Nation is going to be talking somewhat about something that's not completely musically based. I know, it's scary. This only happens whenever I want to get political or talk about Thanksgiving. So anyways, this video right here is the top 10 most annoying fan bases / types of people. So, you'll be able to tell the difference quite easily. So let's do this quickly. Number 10, Deathcore and Gent fans. It's not necessarily that I dislike both genres. In fact, I think both of them have their place. I think that Deathcore is clearly metal, and I think that Gent has something to offer. It's just the fact that some of the fans like to believe that this is the only thing that really music has to offer. Especially Gent fans in this regard. Deathcore fans, just with their interpretation of somebody, saying that they're not exactly a fan of Deathcore, they tend to take things a little bit personally. That's why I think a lot of people call it brocore, or try to associate it with bros a little bit, considering they tend to get bent out of shape whenever you have an opinion aside from theirs. It's just flat out annoying, and it actually ties into one that's a little bit later on in this list. However, this one needs its own special place, considering it has a special place in my heart, considering of all the bands that I've talked ill about. Number 9, we have Rednecks and the country scene. I don't hate everybody in the country scene, and not all rednecks are poor. However, there's a lot of them, and believe me, I see a lot of them considering the area that I live and the store that I work at, that just take the whole idealism way too far. Not to mention, the whole idealism is just kind of pathetic to begin with. Yeah, I understand being, somebody of the land. I understand that, living in the middle of nowhere, using a lot of tractors, having a truck and a dog and all this other crap is all fine and dandy and American. However, I don't think it's the only prospect that America should have to really be defined by. Because there's also other terrible ideas in America that tend to, work pretty well, such as capitalism. Yeah, that was sarcasm. Bottom line, Rednecks just piss me off because, well, they all seem to just love the country music to death, and that's all that they listen to. And while that's fine, considering I principally listen to heavy metal, but expand my horizons every so often, I just can't get over people that listen to something that's just so simplistic in nature and doesn't really have a lot of deviation. There's not much to offer unless you really go deep into the catalog. If you mix up the new and the old, then you have a little bit more of a wider breadth, but a lot of the people don't tend to do this. So it's just something that really gets under my skin. I also really hate people that feel the need as rednecks to, not take a shower or don't give a damn about their personal appearance. Yeah, I know it's a free country, but I kind of give a damn whenever I'm checking you out at the register that you don't, have a bunch of fucking grease and dirt and everything around, dressed in your overalls with pig shit on your fucking, lip or something like that. And I don't really enjoy following you with a can of freaking Febreze just to make my store smell actually tolerable. Yeah. This is something that just really irritates the balls off of me. Number 8, overly religious hypocrites. Yeah, you probably thought this would be a little bit higher on the list considering I'm not necessarily religious, but let's face it, this is kind of a minority. Yeah, we all know somebody that has some opinions that irritate us. However, it's not something that's, really as large as we think. The Westboro Baptist Church is just one group, and it's the group that really is the most intolerant of most. There are obviously a lot of people out there that are currently opposing the LGBT, or they're opposing metal. They think that it's satanic propaganda. Hello July of last year. Or, this or that. And the reason why I'm more, in shambles about this and pissed off about it is because in most cases they're violating their own rules, the things that are right there in the Bible or in their, basic subtext. The people that take it too far. Those are the people that irritate me because they're taking what could easily be seen as a good idea, something that easily could be a good thing for society, not so much keeping them in check, but at least giving them, something to live for, and just blowing it out of proportion and making it, the only thing that matters. And if you're not on their side, you're basically against them. Isn't that the kind of attitude that you would expect from, somebody who is evil? You would think that, but not really. Number 7, we have Emo Fans, and I have to say emo kids instead of emo fans, should I say, not because they all are children, but because a lot of them act like children. And I really just can't get through that, you know. It's almost like they think that if they continue acting like kids, this whole eternal youth idea will, you know, spawn in them. And then, of course, they decide that they're going to grow up, and then they don't. And it's just really, really irritating. Am I necessarily doing this because of the music? Is it because of the culture? Is it because of the fads? It's basically because these are a bunch of children trapped in adult bodies trying to do adult things in a childish way and essentially denigrating society in a way that I just can't explain. I've never seen so much bullshit on social media. It's to the point where you almost don't even want to go on social media because you can almost instantaneously tell just by the way that somebody looks in their profile photo the kind of person that they're going to be. If they have spiky hair, either that or ridiculous colors in their hair, and, you know, decide that their favorite band is Pierce the Veil, there's a good chance that they're going to post something ridiculous, retarded, depressing, or something that makes you want to just pull out a gun and shoot them every so often. There's a very good chance that there might be some sort of, like, you know, non-emo, anti-emo Hitler that will arise. And if that's the case, then I'm sure you guys are going to rescind your ways pretty damn quick. How about number freaking 6? Let's talk about some Radiohead fans. Not all Radiohead fans. In fact, a lot of Radiohead fans that I know are really, really cool, except for very few choice people. Because there are some people that believe that Radiohead is the best band that has ever existed. Now, having a preference is one thing. I completely understand having a preference, but some people take it way too damn far, believing them to be more influential than bands such as the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Metallica, you know, just to name a few, is just absolutely ludicrous. Mainly because what Radiohead has done to evolve their sound, basically, taking the idea of kind of an alternative style of music with a little bit of that Britpop infused, adding a little bit of electronic flavor and just some random out there ideas that does not necessarily make them, you know, the greatest innovators in the world. It basically just makes them a band that kind of noticed something that they wanted to do a little bit differently, and they kind of plugged away and, you know, tooled away at it. Not all of the great Radiohead albums, I think, are the great Radiohead albums. I really love OK Computer. It's a fantastic disc. Pablo Honey is a very, very solid slab of, you know, 90s music. But whenever it comes to some of the recent stuff, you know, some of it's good, but I just can't get into it as much. You know, there are choice songs here and there, but as a whole, I find them to be a little bit overrated. But that's just me. How about number 5? Let's get into H.I.M fans. I know we're doing, you know, fans, and fans, you know, in 3 straight, and I aim to eliminate that for the most part, but H.I.M fans have really taken things to a level that just absolutely annoy the piss out of me. I don't understand why this term of love metal was coined, but it's probably one of the biggest pieces of garbage that I've ever heard in my entire life. I understand that the concept is supposed to kind of infuse a little bit of a romantic element into metal and kind of give it this little texture to it, and in reality it's just basically positive sentence, let's be honest here. But then you see the taglines, you see the over-obsession, you see the Vilvalo worship pages, you see people just basically you want to take out into a back alley and impale with a fucking screw that you found in some sort of large building. It's really annoying, not to mention these are people that are constantly, you know, in turmoil, and they can't seem to get away from this one person or this one band. And you know what, their sound really, it was something that was semi-decent whenever they first got started. In fact, some of their earlier albums are not too bad. The later stuff, I'm not that big of a fan of. I really don't like the evolution of the band, but that's just my opinion. But the fans really don't make it that much easier for me to really, you know, accept them all of that much. I find them to be kind of just another one of those trendy bands now, similar to a Slipknot or, you know, even a Disturbed or a Godsmack, where a lot of people latch onto them for all of the wrong reasons. It's mainly either because of looks or because it is kind of anti-conventional, but it's not a reason to really love a band. It's because of the music, and the music to me is bad. But now let's get to somebody that we all know in our lives. Let's talk about depressed people. Number 4, depressed people that will not shut the fuck up about it. This is coming from a guy who, before he made this channel, was generally a pretty depressed dude. This is coming from a guy who did nearly off himself. Yeah, I don't like to talk about it that much, but it's something that almost happened accidentally. And let's face it, the one place that I really wasn't pining for attention that much was social media. And this is where it really becomes extremely, extremely, you know, easy to spot. These are people that are constantly, whenever they're in a bad or foul mood or something that doesn't strike them as happy, sunshiny, and, peaches and cream, decide that they want to talk about it. They decide they want to really pine for attention. These are the up and down roller coaster people that claim one day that they're going to, turn it all around and nothing's going to stand in their way. But 2 hours later, something stood in their way and now they're depressed and down about it again. I mean, come on. Have a little bit of perseverance. Have a little bit of self-respect, a little bit of self-control, and actually work at it a little bit. There are actual depressed people out there. People that suffer from depression and different, psychological ailments on a daily basis that are not talking about this, and they are actually doing everything in their power to work through it. And it's an actual struggle for them. It is an actual struggle for them, but it's a personal struggle that they retain on a personal level. That way they can still maintain sociability and be a relevant member of society. These people that do nothing but complain about it whenever some little thing happens because they stubbed their toe on their chair in their room, either that or because somebody didn't exactly say what they wanted them to say, how they documented it in their mind for 3 hours, that's bullshit. Grow the fuck up. Number 3, movie and music elitists. Now, I know that we've talked about this. Elitism is not something that we want to do. Some people have accused me of being semi-elitist, but come on. I make videos for entertainment. I'm not necessarily going to go around and talk shit on every fan of every band that I don't like. In fact, most of the people that I meet in my store are actually pretty cool people, so I'm able to maintain a conversation with them very, very easily. However, there are some people out there that seem to just latch on to certain elements of music or even movies and immediately feel that they are better than you. They immediately feel that they are on top of you simply because of their taste in music, because it's either unconventional or because they know more rare bands than you do. They found so many rare movies, They take on this element where they feel that they are better than you and that your opinion does not matter. Your opinion, basically, regardless of argument, is shit. Even if your argument is a perfectly valid one, even if it's one that really dictates a response, the response is typically, well, blank, insert name of band or movie here, is the best, period. It's a very short argument, it's a very annoying argument, and it's usually one that goes nowhere. It's a circular argument, and circular arguments are not arguments at all. They're basically just like you talking to a wall, and the wall basically continuing to respond to you, hello, I'm a fucking wall. And yeah, it's still a fucking wall, even if you run into it. If you run into these people, it's just like running into a fucking wall. It's annoying as shit. Good example. Ever have somebody walk into your store? I guess not, because, I'm working at one, you're probably working somewhere else. But somebody walks into a store, picks up an ELO record, and you say, oh, sweet, I love ELO. And what do they say? Hey, that's Electric Light Orchestra. Get it right. That is freaking just messed up. That is bullshit. That is taking things to a level that it needs not go. Just smile and nod and wait for them to walk away and then tell them to go fuck themselves square in their ass. Number 2, pop culture worship. I hate this principally for the point that there are some people that just simply do not slip out of this pop culture slipstream of nonsense. They worship everything about it, and this is not something that's directed towards the youth that, are going after the Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, One Directions of the world, because they're young. They're not yet really in this whole idea of making conscious decisions, even though they are in the age of reason. It's just that they're dictated a little bit more strongly by the media and by television and different outlets in which they receive their music. So eventually they're going to grow out of it. Now the people that are older that never grew out of it or basically grew into it are the people that really have a problem. In my eyes at least, because that's the only realm that they really go for. They go for this plastic music, this plastic entertainment, and it's something that kind of gives them, all of the highs that they need at the moments when they need them, but it's not something that really dictates their life all that much. It's something where they are offended by people who, talk negatively about artists that are in the public eye. These are the types of people that get offended whenever you make, Rihanna and Chris Brown jokes or say that Lady Gaga is basically just trying to be Madonna. They're the types of people that will try to defend these artists and say that no, they're actually, they're not trying to do that, not at all, whenever clearly all the signs are there. These are also the people that believe that Kesha's not a slut, that Destiny's Child never broke up. They also believe that Tupac is living in, California somewhere. The Notorious B.I.G. was never shot. He became a sumo wrestler and is now in Japan. And that have absolutely no idea who Jim Morrison is, or The Doors, or Kurt Cobain. things like that. I'm sure all of you have met people like this. I'm sure all of you have a couple of them on your friends lists on whatever social media platform that you use. Some of you probably have them in your classes, or probably interact with them every day whenever you go to work. They are very annoying. You know how pissed off you get whenever you speak to them. Basically, their only redeeming factor, I'm sure, in your mind is the fact that either they look good or the fact that they are able to bring something else to the table so you can deviate conversation away from this bullshit. And then we get to number one. We get to the reality TV show fan base and American Idol. Whoever had the idea to basically make television shows about reality is very rich right now and apparently had the best idea ever. But I don't buy it. I don't want a television show that is showing me people just living. I think it's bullshit. I live every day. I don't need to see somebody else live. That doesn't interest me all that much because I see other people live every day. Because I see other people every fucking day. I don't need to see what people do whenever they're in a house together. I could just get 5 people and call them roommates, and then you can call the show Roommates. There you go. I just invented a reality TV show. Fuck me, because I just made the next big hit. But shows like Jersey Shore and Buck Wild, The Real World, I don't need to see that. I also don't need to see 17 shows about 14 different professions. Listen, there are some of these shows that are pretty damn good, such as Axemen, Pawn Stars, American Pickers. There was one about, I think it was called American Gold Rush, that was pretty decent. Some of those that, are basically on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel are pretty damn awesome. However, whenever it comes to the ones that are just about people being retarded and drunk and trying to fuck anything in sight, I just can go to a bar and see that. I don't need to see this on television. And then American Idol can just suck a fat ass fucking cock. American Idol and all these other different shows that are associated with it, yeah, at first it was a neat little idea. But eventually, you just realized it was just going to be more plastic pop. There's not going to be anything outside of that. It's not going to be a true variety show, such as America's Got Talent, which is not even a true reality show, variety show. This is all going to be based around groups that are able to do a marketable element or a marketable talent. And they find right now pop music, country music, and basically easy listening for the older folks to be a very marketable tool. You're not going to see a metal band win. You're not going to see a rapper win. You're not going to see an indie band get a lot of commercial acclaim win. Basically, the closest thing to hard rock that you got was Daughtry, and let's face it, while Daughtry has sold pretty well, it's not lasted. And then, of course, there was the Taylor Hicks, and then the obsession with Scotty McCreery just needs to die too. I mean, for real. That show, if it expanded its horizons, if it truly was able to dictate talent, then I would maybe think about it. However, it's so based on bullshit. It's so based on basically somebody's look and, having a voice, basically a marketable element to them. And that's all that it is. You can call it basic American capitalism and call me a, fibber, a liar, somebody who's just dictating a lead of bullshit, but it's the truth. If they actually expanded their horizons, maybe they would actually discover talent and not people who are just doing the same thing as 1,000 other people that are trying to get into the business. There you have it. 10 people or 10 fan bases that piss me the fuck off. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want me to talk a little bit more about television, about movies and things like that, give me a shout. I might actually consider it because I've been thinking about doing that for a while, but I just never thought that the reaction would be that good, considering you guys know me as a music guy. I'll talk to you later.